What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Trench Talk. I'm your co-host, Christian Royston, with my other co-host, Logan Shanks. We got a fun episode here today because, there's been a lot of buzz this week in the NFL world about one man. And I think a lot of people have thoughts on Anthony Richardson.
Okay. I was going to say, if we get right into your Browns where I have to start, I feel like that's not the top news right there.
Oh, no.
But we were just kind of glazing not Anthony Richardson, but Jameis Winston for a little bit.
We were
on. But yeah, I texted, it was announced yesterday that Anthony Richardson was going to be benched by the Indianapolis Colts. Now, I did get a notification today that his actions at Sunday's game, him giving the little head tap to check himself out of a 3rd and goal situation, that had nothing to do with their decision. If, in my opinion, that almost makes this decision worse. Christian and I do, after texting each other yesterday and going, save it for the pod, apparently we have some differing opinions on this decision by the Colts.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I think they should bench him. I don't think that's
right
where our opinions differ. I just have a different thought about what a quarterback should be doing on the field, because everybody's over here crucifying him because he took himself out of the game because he was tired. We just had Brian Flores come out to defend him in their pre-game press conference since they played him this week, I believe.
Yes, this Thursday, tomorrow night, Halloween night.
No.
We get spooky.
No, it's
on Sunday. Is it Sunday night football? Okay,
yeah,
never mind.
Tomorrow's Texans Jets.
It's Texans Jets?
Yeah.
Oh boy, maybe. I told you I have the day off tomorrow, so maybe I won't enjoy Thursday night. That's going to be a massacre, but anyway, continue.
Yeah, you just watched a play where he's obviously scrambling around to end up getting. Did he get sacked on that play, or
no?
They were already backed up quite a bit.
He was about to get sacked, shook off a defensive tackle, and gets about 3-4 yards out of that. It's
to make it 3rd and goal on the 18.
Yeah, it was an impressive play to say the least. Before he willingly checked himself out, but go on.
Mm-hmm. So at that point, you again have to throw the ball. And you think,
yes,
sure, your quarterback should stay in and want to win games. But if you're unable to do so and you have to throw the ball, at some point do you not just say, my team has a better chance to score here, to win the game, if I'm not on the field? I think you should have tapped out earlier in the game. It's after the first half.
Christian, even that is him saying that's him giving up on his team, in a sense. The big thing that it is for me, well, there's a couple things here. And Micah Parsons went on his podcast, and a lot of other people in the media are saying this. Next time a reporter asks why you checked yourself out, just lie. Just say you were hurt. Yeah. Something was listen, me and you as reporters, we love honesty, but that was a little, he's almost screwing himself here by saying the big thing here. Now he goes, I checked myself out. Not even just that I was tired, but saying I needed a break. You needed a break?
And I feel like people are reading more into that, though, because, there's no telling what it actually was, right? Because it looked like he was maybe trying to joke a little bit. He could just be awkward, not media trained. It is his 2nd year. If you really look at it, the little smirk on his face, it makes me think that he's not being serious there. But if he really was oh yeah, I just need a break on a 3rd and goal, that's probably a bad thing.
That's what I'm leaning towards. Why else? If not, then he has to be the worst media trained athlete I've ever seen in my life. I interview high school kids that know how to talk better than saying I needed a break. Have you ever seen an NFL player, let alone a quarterback, tell the media that they needed a break on a play? As someone,
I mean, he didn't get the 4 years of college media training. Maybe that would have helped.
but he still went to a big time program like Florida. You'd think at least a couple years there he gets trained. Hey, maybe if you maybe don't always be honest. Maybe don't throw your teammates under the bus, but just be like, oh yeah, like my shoulder was kind of bothering me. I think I might have rolled my ankle on that play, because he scrambled, but he needed a break. I mean, you think some of his offensive linemen who block for him all the time just for him to throw an incompletion were like, well, I need a break too, but I don't check myself out.
Yeah, but at some point, as the quarterback, the game can't just like fall on you. Like if you stay in every single play when you can't perform, you're throwing the games for your team. That's almost worse. That's coming from, as a Browns fan, most fan bases don't see this. But as a Browns fan, I watched Baker play through injury his final year. If he had just said, hey, coach, I can't play. Like, I physically cannot throw the ball right now or run around. Like, I need to, I don't know, have surgery, take some rest to recover, like anything. He'd probably still be a Brown, But
That's a
instead,
legit. That was a
coming out there,
legit injury.
Yeah, and Anthony Richardson is coming off a legit injury. And clearly he's not fully healthy, as what we saw how he played.
Yeah, not conditioning wise. I guess maybe, well, maybe he's taking the Kyler Murray approach. I mean, Black Ops 6 did just come out, so maybe he's been sitting on his rear end playing Black Ops 6 all week. Couldn't make it to conditioning workouts, so detrimented his play on Sunday.
Yeah, or maybe it just maybe he has undiagnosed exercise-induced asthma that we're going to find out about next week.
Out of two very unlikely scenarios, it's crazy to see that, or it's crazy to hear that him being unconditioned because he's been playing Black Ops 6 is the more believable one. But
yeah, that's true.
I mean, just to wrap it all up, I mean,
I feel like it comes back to like before we head off of the Anthony Richardson train. I feel like having him on the field to begin with last year was already a bad decision by the Colts.
Yeah, because they shouldn't have drafted him.
No, they can draft him. I think he probably has the highest potential of any quarterback in the league currently. That's like a serious take because, I mean, he has the arm talent, he has the legs and the mobility, he's shifty in the pocket. I mean, he has all the traits you need in a quarterback. It's just he hasn't played the position for that long. And yet you can't put a development quarterback as your starter right away. And I think it's starting to show that he's clearly needs a couple years to just learn how to play football.
No, I was thinking about this in the car because we were texting about this, developing a quarterback and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And I get it, you don't, you pick out the outliers. Oh, Patrick Mahomes sat for almost an entire year behind Alex Smith. And then you bring up Josh Allen. He was a developmental quarterback. You kind of have to go through the growing pains and stuff like that. But how do you expect a quarterback to develop when he's holding the clipboard? Watching
you have to learn the game first before you get thrown into it.
A good way to learn is to get thrown into it.
Well, I mean,
you think
that's clearly not been the case.
Bryce Young in the same draft class. So the interesting thing, these are two quarterbacks from the same draft class last year that have been benched already. Do you think Bryce Young is any better if he doesn't start year one?
Well, I don't think Bryce Young's a development quarterback. I think we knew what he was coming out of Alabama. I think he's one of those that was in NFL ready, as opposed to this is like what you're getting from your quarterback.
Okay.
Like he could already read defenses. He had pocket awareness.
Mm-hmm.
the biggest thing is, I mean, he's not tall enough to play the position, and he needed to dial in like his on the field decision making. Like he can read defenses, he just can't get the ball to places.
Weight has also been a big thing for me with Bryce Young. I mean,
he's just too small.
But and I hate to say that because, you know, me and all the short kings out there, you know, want to see him succeed. That's why I'm a big Baker fan. That's why I like to watch Kyler as well. But with Anthony Richardson, even with that, like, he was not a good quarterback in college that completed a ton of his passes. He still isn't doing that in the NFL. I mean, you saw his stats on Sunday. There was at one point he was, I believe it was 2 for 13 for 81 yards, including a 69-yard touchdown. I mean, I get, you know, wanting to develop him, but I just don't see how, you know, I don't see how if you don't play him, he can get better. And I get, you know, he's still coming off that injury, right? I get that for sure. And Joe Flacco's going to come in. I would imagine Anthony Richardson starts games later down the line this year. But me personally, I don't know how much. I mean, I just don't know how he can develop when it's like he has talent around him. I just don't think he has the traits to do it.
Well, it's the Packers model of how they build their quarterbacks, which is why they've had success forever. And I think more teams kind of need to look into like what they're doing, is because you start Aaron Rodgers right away, he's not a Hall of Famer. You start Jordan Love right away, he's out of the league in 3 years. I mean, these are guys that they needed to sit. They learned behind talented players, and then now they started on their teams, and they were the best at their position. It's because they sat for 2-3 years learning, holding the clipboard, learning how to play football before they actually went out there and tried to just put it to use or whatever, you know.
Well, I mean, in that case, if you think Anthony Richardson needs to do that, and they should have done that, who's he going to sit behind? Now he's going to sit behind Flacco. I don't know how much he's going to learn from that. Last year, he would have sat behind Minshew.
I mean, yeah, I think the Colts made a bad decision. And I mean, the Colts for a while it seems like they think they're in win now situations, which is why they've gone out and just picked up the retirement home quarterbacks. They're like, maybe we can squeeze out one last year of, you know, Phillip Rivers and Matt Ryan. And maybe we can squeeze out as much of Joe Flacco as we have left.
And when they tried to,
it's like they just kind of need to rebuild.
They tried to use Carson Wentz that 1 year too, see what was going to go down there. I actually keep talking for a little bit while I try and find this tweet. It was probably the best tweet I've seen on the Colts. Here it is. Projected Colts starting quarterbacks. 2024, Joe Flacco, 25, Stafford, 26, Cousins, 27, Derek Carr, 28, Sam Darnold, 29, Geno Smith, 2030, Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
That's pretty par for the course, though.
Yeah. But, I mean, even you put Anthony Richardson behind, Josh Allen, I think he'd become a really good quarterback. Right?
Put him behind.
Trade him with who's sitting behind him now? Is it Trubisky?
I believe so. I believe he's still there.
You put him behind Dak Prescott even. It's like, I assume Trey Lance is learning a lot, hopefully.
Probably not. I don't think
he didn't really have that much talent coming out of college. Pretty sure I was on the bus that was like, oh, Trey Lance, this is the worst pick of all time. And then guess what? He was a bust instantly.
Trey Lance, the guy who his only full year as a starter in college, he threw 0 interceptions.
At, what was he? North Dakota State or whatever.
I'd take that over being okay at Florida.
In actual Power 5 school?
I was not impressed with Anthony Richardson coming out of Florida.
Yeah, it's the intangibles. I mean, maybe obviously nobody that's talking about him has any insight into what's going on in the facility or what they saw when they were drafting him. Maybe he doesn't have a great personality either. I mean, if he genuinely wants to play football at this level, I think he can grow if he's in the right situation. But again, if he's kind of like, if what we saw, like the smirking Anthony Richardson, if that's like what he is normally, if he's kind of this like cocky like kid who doesn't really know better, then I mean, there's probably a good chance he's just a bust.
He can't lose the locker room. That's the number one thing. And when you sub yourself out as a quarterback, you essentially say, no, I'm not built for this, or I'm tired. The big thing, I just keep harkening on it, is saying I need a break. Probably all 22 guys out on that field would like a break at some point, but you don't get one. And when you're the starting quarterback and you got guys like Baker Mayfield and Matt Stafford, Brady, all these guys that'll play with injuries, they'll play with this, they know that this is their team and they have to guide it. You take yourself out on 3rd and goal. I get it. Hell, ask your coach to take a
McAfee
timeout.
talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can just tell your coach, hey, we need to burn some clock here or something,
Mm-hmm.
or take a delay a game, do anything to kind of get some breath. But
Mm-hmm. And we haven't even mentioned that outside of that, Anthony Richardson just did not play good on Sunday either.
No. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You should probably tapped out earlier. I mean, at what point do you pull yourself as quarterback and you're like, hey, coach, I'm having an off day. Like this, like, if you keep me in, we are going to lose this game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at one point, does it go like, yes, you're the quarterback, you're leading your team. But at some point, you kind of have to be self-aware and be like, I'm going to be the reason we lose this. As the quarterback, am I not supposed to help my team win games? Or am I supposed to just be the face out there? Right?
Yeah. Colts lose 23-20 to the Texans. That's what I really wanted to open the show with. We'll see what happens there, obviously. Joe Flacco will be the starter against the Vikings on Sunday. I think
we may be almost out of the Joe Flacco magic. As you know, as a Browns fan, I saw he was really good in those few games for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take him out a week, there's a good chance he slows down. And I'm kind of scared to see what he does on Sunday.
Well, you'll see him play on Sunday, and you will also see another guy who was warming up a bench previously who balled out this week for your Browns.
Jameis Winston?
Yeah, he balled out against the Ravens in his first start with the Browns. Obviously, remained the starter now that Deshaun Watson is hurt, and Kevin Stefanski elected to go with Winston over DTR, who you got to feel bad for him a little bit. But yeah, I mean, talk about your Brownies getting the job done against the Ravens late in that football game.
Sorry, there's just like a squirrel right here up in this tree, literally like 5 feet from me, just staring down. I don't know if I'm about to be attacked by an army of squirrels or... Anyways.
He's probably asking you this question.
Oh, I was going to say.
Browns are back?
Pack of dogs attack the Ravens. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know how to feel. It was like the perfect Jameis Winston experience of like half the game you're like, holy cow, this kid can throw the ball. Like, oh, we have a quarterback. We're so back. And then half the game you're like, Jameis, what are you doing? Please stop. I'm like, oh, don't throw the ball there. Oh, it was caught? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, don't throw it at Kyle Hamilton. Oh, he dropped the interception? It's like, I'm like, there were so many points where it was like, he easily could have thrown the game away, but he didn't. And I think, that's the magic of Jameis Winston. I mean, that guy's top 3 funniest guy in the NFL, maybe the top 1.
Yeah. Everyone's, of course, talking about the little pregame speech he was giving to his guys. He's like, play for the name on the back of your shirt.
Yeah.
Or jersey.
Play for on the name on your helmet. Oh, we don't have decals on our helmets, but
yeah.
Like James.
Oh, boy.
At least the thought is there. Or it's like the reporters asking him questions before.
Mm-hmm.
It's like unwavering faith. Or it was like that Key and Peele skit with like they're like fighting, like the UFC fighters. One dude's like, I'm gonna beat that dude's face in, and I'm gonna make him be real hurt. And the other guy's like, God has chosen me as his warrior. I am a vessel, and I will.
Those
and
are
the dude's like, did he just say God chose him?
Those are the people you need to be scared of when they have just straight faith driving them.
Yeah.
And then Jameis quotes Eminem after the game.
Quotes lose yourself. He's like, some white boy from Detroit, not that far down the road. He said he got one chance, one opportunity. I'm like, is he quoting "Lose Yourself"?
He's quoting the real Slim Shady. But
oh my gosh, I love that dude.
Over 300 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and we were talking about it too. He's bringing out guys like Cedric Tillman, Elijah Moore, Jerry Jeudy's getting involved. David Njoku caught a touchdown pass on National Tight End Day. I mean,
well, you're just naming all the receivers now. I mean, like, Jerry Jeudy's good. Has been good.
Well, because he's getting them involved.
Njoku is the only tight end.
We were talking about it before. The pocket presence from Winston is night and day better than Deshaun Watson. His ability to read the field, keep his options open. Hell, there's even a couple plays where I'm thinking if Deshaun Watson throws this ball, it's either, slower to the guy. It doesn't hit him right. I mean, it was kind of like what you were saying where you're like, oh, don't throw that ball because you're used to Deshaun Watson throwing that ball and it's either going in the dirt or getting picked off.
But I mean, Winston was slinging it, and it comes in with pace to the point of like these corners are not expecting to have to put their hands out that fast, And I like that. It reminds me of Baker actually quite a bit.
But Baker's problem on the Browns, I don't know if you remember this, but his problem would also be throwing the ball too hard and it bounce off his receiver's hands and get intercepted. But
yeah, and it's also just throwing it right to the other team.
Okay.
And playing hurt.
Better than giving up on your team. Anyway. But yeah, the Browns get the win. Lamar Jackson actually still plays like a really solid game.
The Ravens as a whole played pretty well still.
Yeah, but the Browns defense did play pretty solid. But we were talking about this too. Let's not get too high on Jameis Winston because, as we always say, they were a backup for a reason.
Yep. Oh
no.
Broke my chair over there. Anyways.
They were what did you say it was?
Effect. That's like could be the Joe Flacco effect. I mean,
Gardner Minshew effect.
Yeah, they're backups for a reason. And I mean, we're kind of starting to see that from Sam Darnold at this point. He's starting to regress a bit.
Don't get our Minnesota fans mad.
I know. I mean, I think all Minnesota fans at this point are kind of seeing it. They're like, oh no, Sam Darnold's not. He's falling from the MVP talks. Like it's our defense now that's bringing us wins. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of Sam Darnold's bread and butter is look good occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a lot of backups, but I still believe in Winston. I think he can perform, which is what we kind of need as a quarterback to go out there and just not throw the game away.
Well, someone that did throw the game away, in my opinion, Dak Prescott. 2 interceptions. Now, listen, I was going into this matchup with the Niners. I didn't think they were going to win. You knew me. I honestly almost texted you and asked you for advice for being like someone who, like, because I've never been in this position as a Cowboys fan before. I've always walked into a game and I've always been like, you know what? Even if we're not favored or whatever, I'm still confident. Like, this is, we're still the Cowboys. We still got our guys. Like, we're going to do this. I almost texted you and been like, how do you handle going into a football game knowing you're not going to win?
Well, you just hope that everybody has fun. I expect to lose every game, actually, and I think that's just a difference in mentalities between fan bases. Is like Browns fans never go into a game like, oh, we're gonna win this game.
Right.
We go in like, it would be nice to win. Like, it would make my day if we win. But I'm so used to losing.
I think that's what I need to have more so now. And so they play the Niners. We've now lost to the Niners 3 straight times, I want to say, at least in the regular season. Might be 3 years in a row, at least 2 years in a row. I know that. And in the playoffs 3 years ago. But Dak Prescott throws 2 interceptions. Now, even just outside of that, I'm going to sound like a broken record here because it's the same problems. The defense, we can't tackle. We can't cover. The offense, we can't run the ball. We only go through CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, and that forces Dak to throw interceptions. I mean, I'm honestly depleted when talking about how much they suck right now because I know it's only week 8, now week 9. The season's over. We're not going to make the playoffs. The Commanders are. The Eagles probably are going to make the playoffs. I mean, we're just not. It's just sad to know that there's so much football left, and especially with the Cowboys knowing that we've been a competitive franchise, we're going the rest of the way, and it's like, I mean, it'd be nice if we get to like 9 wins. Probably won't make the playoffs. We definitely won't. Actually, I'll say that right now. We are not going to make the playoffs, which means the $5 Super Bowl ticket that I put on them back in like March is cooked now, pretty much.
And your tweet that you sent out is kind of looking rough.
That's true. True. But yeah, Cowboys lose to the Niners again on Sunday Night Football. You know, even though they had the lead in the first half, at the end of the first half, I knew something's going to happen. And the Niners go out to score 21 straight points, 2 touchdowns from George Kittle to end National Tight End Day. And I mean, it was just ugly. I don't know what to do anymore, Christian.
Well, speaking of National Tight Ends Day, like, could you ask for a better day for tight ends? Like, holy cow.
No, you couldn't. I think at the end of the day, they totaled like over 125 total catches between all the games. Cade Otton 2 touchdowns. I mean, this is just from games that I remember watching. Cade Otton 2 touchdowns. Kyle Pitts 2 touchdowns. George Kittle 2 touchdowns.
David
Njoku have a good game too. Travis Kelce touchdown, which that parlay hit for me. I took a parlay that was George Kittle and Travis Kelce anytime. That hit.
God, I wish I could bet.
I think Tucker Kraft from the Packers had one.
Yeah, he had a touchdown.
Did Sam Laporta have one too?
I think he had. I mean, he had to have, right? The Lions put up 52 points.
Yeah, but and I believe that was from David Montgomery because he, of course, throws a touchdown. Crazy. Yeah, he had to. Yeah, crazy day from Jared Goff. 12 for 15, 85 yards, 3 touchdowns. And
that might
David
be the
Montgomery
wildest stat line I've ever seen in my life.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. Somehow the Lions put up 52 points with Jared Goff only throwing for 85 yards.
And he scored, I mean, a quarter of his passes were into the end zone.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah. I think was, I mean, we don't talk enough about the Lions on the. Okay, we could be done with the Cowboys. Cowboys, you're done. I'm done. I mean, I'm not done with them. I'm gonna keep watching every game. We still got an opportunity on Sunday playing Kirko in Atlanta. If we can get a win here, go to 4-4.
Kirk
the delusional side's coming back. He's looking very good against the Bucks. And hey, maybe if we stop running man coverage, that might help us a little bit because we have proven time and time again our corners and safeties cannot do man coverage. Anyways, Cowboys, Super Bowl 2025. Anyway, let's go.
Where do I even begin?
But yeah, we don't talk enough about the Lions on this show who put up. I mean, they're 6-1 at 6-1 now. They only in the last 2 games. It looks like they haven't even had to try to win. They just do it.
I was between them and the Ravens as the best team in the league, and now the Ravens lost to the Jameis Winston-led Browns, and the Cowboys put up 52 points. So it's like going with the Lions, right? Like, I mean, they have it's like they don't even need their best players to perform. I mean, it's like Jared Goff. Yeah, he throws 3 touchdowns, but he also doesn't need to pass the ball. They just run it down their throat. Amon-Ra St. Brown catches 2 balls, right? But it's okay because Sam Laporta is still insanely good, and they have so many other receivers, and the running game is so good, and the defense is amazing. It's like, I mean, the defense had a touchdown as well, right?
Yeah. Yes, they did. And what I meant the last 2 weeks they haven't had to try. I thought the Cowboys game was the week before. They actually played the Vikings and where they won. But just looking back at their schedule, they've scored 40 points or more than they've scored more than 40 points in 3 of their last 4 games. I mean, it's just.
That was a punt return.
Yeah, punt return. But
still.
Yeah. They turn the ball over 0 times.
Team, right?
Yeah, a very explosive team. They have all the weapons that they need. 2 running backs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, not Jameis Winston, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta. I mean,
and Jameson Williams, he'll be unsuspended soon.
Let's not carry guns around, Jameson. I keep wanting to say Jameis Winston, but Jameis Winston don't carry guns around. Yeah, we don't need our best players to be carrying guns around.
Yeah, this isn't the Memphis Grizzlies.
And I just won't say that.
See, he knows other ball that's not football.
Yeah,
but I'm booking the Lions to the Super Bowl, I think.
Okay, let's pump the brakes. Still got the Niners. Still got the Vikings, the Packers. I mean, that's going to be an awesome division to watch. I can't wait for the more division games to be played there, which they have a lot.
Bears, who just lost to the rookie matchup.
That we were all waiting for, and it turns out to be a crapshoot.
It was just as good as advertised.
We won't have best and worst performances this week, but I did want to note that want to make sure I get Tyreek Stevenson. Okay. Tyreek Stevenson, obviously everyone's seen it at this point. I mean, I'm dogging on Anthony Richardson for quitting on his team. Tyreek Stevenson basically should have quit on his team when he's talking trash to fans on the last play of the game.
During the play.
Yes. And yeah. I mean,
I don't think I've seen anything like worse than that, like what I just witnessed. I mean, he taunting fans in the crowd is like, all right, now I'm going to go play some football, sprints over to the play to bat the ball into the air, into the other team's hands for a game-winning touchdown.
For that to happen against a head coach who is a defensive-minded head coach, and I've heard everyone say this now, it's like when you're in a Hail Mary situation, you make sure that no one is behind you. Like you want to make sure the pile is in front of the goal. Like not even just someone is behind you. You want to make sure that the pile is in front of the goal line, which they did. But Noah Brown is just sitting back there ready because he's like, I mean, he's probably thinking something's going to happen. Maybe it gets tipped to me. And it does. It gets tipped right into his hands. The former Cowboy scores the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, gosh. Jaden Daniels coming off an injury.
And I haven't seen the full stats on it. But, it goes down as a 52-yard Hail Mary. Really, that should be like a 60, 65-yarder from where Jaden Daniels was standing.
He was, as like most Hail Marys end up. You'd scramble around for a good amount. But, did you see the distance he put on that ball?
Yeah, and that's something a lot of people are also hating on the Bears for, especially Matt Eberflus, is that and then just people hating on like Hail Mary defense in general. It's like, I know you want as many people as you can in the back, like to block the pass or do whatever, bat it down. But we need to start sending more than just 2 people. There was that one guy that they had a QB spy on. That was QB spying Jane Daniels. And even as I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, I know Jane Daniels can run the ball, but do you really think he's going to, like, with how many people you have back there at the goal line, he's just going to be able to run it all the way in?
Yeah.
That would be like the most insane play of all time.
Yeah, and I think, we need to take like a page out of the Lions book when they were playing the Vikings. I don't know if you saw the last play Sam Darnold had. I believe he had a chance at a Hail Mary at the end.
They rushed
like 5. Yeah. You just blitz 4 or 5 instead of dropping back like 7.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? You're putting pressure on them. They can't even look downfield. Like, they don't have time for the play to develop. It's like you're giving them time to get the ball off and then being like, hopefully we can make a play on it when it's in the air.
Yeah.
No, just don't let them get the ball off.
That's when you're counting on, and it's just putting it blankly, defensive backs who couldn't be wide receivers, so they had to be defensive backs. You're counting on them to make a play on the ball in a scramble, which I'm not saying it happens every Hail Mary, but we do see these instances like against the Bears and the Commanders where something's going to it's not that easy to just bat the ball down and, stuff's going to happen. Chaos is going to happen.
Mm-hmm. It's the nature of the game.
It really is. Speaking of chaos, I did want to also mention, I know this is now almost a week ago, but we've talked a little bit about the Vikings. They get kind of screwed out of an opportunity there.
Yeah, they little face mask at the end, although
a pretty blatantly missed face mask call.
Yeah, although again, Sam Darnold, why are we holding the ball in your own end zone for that long? I mean, sure, it's not a safety, but at some point, it just kind of felt like the Vikings were not going to beat the Rams, and it's like you're kind of like looking for stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not saying like it should have been called. I mean, the ref was right there, like staring the play down, but it's like, what did it even matter? It reminds me of like the Rams playoff game to make the Super Bowl against the Saints. It's like, sure, that's pass interference, but like at the end of the day, they would have had to go down, score, and then win the coin flip, win it in overtime, kick another field goal. Like, there was like so much that also needed to happen for them to win that game. It's like,
yeah. I mean, Jared Goff said it on Part of My Take one time, and probably the best response I've ever seen to that. They ask him, just to bring up that Rams Saints game, goes, I think Big Cat's like, was that pass interference? And Jared Goff just goes, was it called?
Yeah.
And then he goes into the explanation that you had, where he's like, what if Will Lutz, the Saints kicker, misses that field goal? Or what if they go into overtime and they still had to go into overtime and the Rams still win it regardless? And that's what Jared Goff said. He said the Saints had their shot in overtime. The Saints got the ball first in overtime in that game. So
yeah,
now we're just talking about the 2018 divisional game, NFC Championship game. Sorry.
Yeah, I think if the Saints made that Super Bowl,
they probably would have won.
They would have, yeah. Tom Brady would have 5 rings right now.
6.
Would have changed the whole course of history.
He doesn't go to the Bucs; he just retires.
Yeah, he probably retires in New England, trying to chase that last ring.
Well, speaking of Tom Brady, his ex-wife is still chasing that next ring because it just came out that she's pregnant. Do you see that?
Baby?
The gymnast that she's been seeing, or not gym, like trainer or something.
Oh gosh,
I know.
It's gonna come out that she's due in 2 months. The timelines aren't adding up, Tom.
I did see. I'm pretty sure someone said that like it could have been fake on Twitter, but like that Tom Brady put something on his Instagram story, and it was pretty much just like I think it was like something about the sky and a mirror. Oh,
sky and a mirror, huh?
Posting that goes. So it posts this picture, right? Just a sky. It looks like a sunset or a sunrise, with the song "Landslide" by the Chicks and says, "Can the
Great song.
child?" I've never heard it. Says, "Can the child within my heart rise above?" I don't really know what that means.
But he's a poet now.
Again, well, you do kind of have to feel bad for the guy. I mean,
I don't feel bad for the guy. He has 7 Super Bowl rings. What do you mean?
Okay, but like
wealthy beyond his wildest dreams. He doesn't need a supermodel wife, too. Come on now.
No, but this, I mean, with his family and everything, now he has kids who are gonna have half siblings, and I guess they already do because he had that one. His first child was with someone else. We're going into, I mean, this isn't even Trench Talk anymore. I'm sorry, guys. This is
Brady lore.
Yeah, this is TMZ News. My bad. Should we get back to football?
And I think I saw Jordan Love making out with.
He's engaged.
His wife. Whoa. Anyways, we're way off track here.
His wife. Okay. Should we? Let's get back to football. We got a couple more topics we want to hit here in terms of news. Let's see. Well, I guess kind of going back to that Colts Texans game. Texans lose a key acquisition that they had in free agency this year in Stephon Diggs, which sucks. He's one of my favorite receivers to watch. I love watching Stephon Diggs ever since that Minneapolis Miracle, and he had his first season in Buffalo where I just knew he was going to pop off. Gets his first All-Pro nod, leads the league in yards and receptions. Now on his first year in the Texans, comes to an early end with, I believe, ACL injury.
Yeah, I think it was an ACL tear.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, season's over, and the biggest thing for me is like they signed him or they traded for him in his last year of his contract, so this was a contract year for him. So there is a high chance that he's not playing for the Texans next year. Right?
That's true. I mean, I could,
because do they want to re-sign like an aging receiver that's coming off a huge injury like that?
I mean,
he looked good.
I hear you. Yeah, no, yeah. I think he's looked really solid. Probably has been their number one option so far this year, and I mean they've been a great team.
When Nico Collins isn't in, he's the number one option.
Right, and you have that written. I completely forgot that he's still on IR. So
yeah, and I mean, actually, I'll look up like when he's coming off, because I think it's gonna be soon.
So yeah, this is his last. This is Diggs' last year. He's going to be 32 next year. But if he doesn't stay with the Texans, he's going to be a big target in free agency. I know you talk about his age and everything coming off the ACL and whatnot, but there's still going to be some teams, maybe the Cowboys, that would pay him a ton. He'd come play with Trayvon Diggs, his brother. I want to say it's his brother. It's either his brother or his cousin. I'm pretty sure it's his brother. But I'd have to buy his jersey to join my Trayvon Diggs jersey, the Cowboys collection.
The Diggs and Diggs. I need to get me a Jameis Winston jersey.
Yeah, you do. Christian was hitting me up this weekend where I get my jerseys from, and I said DHgate, but I don't think they let you buy jerseys from there anymore because I tried to buy a Tampa Bay Baker jersey and I couldn't find anything. So I don't think I'm not sure if they're allowing like $20 NFL jerseys anymore.
Stuff, because I also need to find a Flacco Browns jersey.
That's true.
My two goats.
but
my saviors from
Texans.
Watson.
But Texans, they've pretty much established that they are going to win that AFC South division. I mean, the Titans are terrible. The Colts, they would have a chance if their quarterback wasn't a revolving door right now. I'll just put it nicely. And then who else is in that division? And the Jags, who unexpectedly are just terrible for some reason. So I don't think they have to worry about missing the playoffs, but things might get a little harder for them down the stretch.
I'm just watching you become more and more of a robot on stream right now. We heard everything.
Did you hear anything?
Heard everything. Yeah, that division's terrible. I mean, the Texans are on paper a good team, right? Mm-hmm. They've honestly been underwhelming though so far. But I think underwhelming is good enough to win that division.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, Joe Mixon, even after missing a couple games, been a dog for me in fantasy. I almost tapped the microphone.
He's been a dog just on the field.
Yeah. And
that has to be the steal of the offseason. I mean, you get a guy like that for a 7th rounder.
Yeah, really wish the Cowboys would have done something with that. I genuinely think if the Cowboys had Joe Mixon, we would have 2 more wins. We could be sitting at 5-2. I think we could maybe win that 49ers game, considering how they've been playing, and they're not really at their best right now. We could have won that game. Who else did we lose to? Ravens, no. Lions, okay, so maybe just 1 more win. Maybe we're just at 4-3 right now.
Yeah, but I mean that's good coming out of this stretch of games.
Yeah. Enough about the Cowboys, but yeah, Texans. I think they'll be all right, but that's just a big loss for them, and they'll get Collins back soon. I'm assuming, but
yeah, it's not going to be like this next week, but it could be within the next 3 weeks at the very worst.
And another injury update: someone that had to leave their game on Sunday for a little bit, I think, or for the rest of the game, was Drake May, who had been playing relatively pretty well since entering the starting role for the Patriots. The Patriots still have beating the Jets, which, I mean, again, that organization right now is just in shambles, as you would like to say.
Well, this further proves, I mean, the Jets is a place where quarterbacks go to die. I mean, the Jets are the Jets, right? I'm pulling that out of the bag.
Right. Juju Smith-Schuster going into the playoff game against the Browns in 2020.
But at the end of the day, the Jets organization as a whole isn't functional. It's not set up to win. Mm-hmm. They thought, we'll just bring in Aaron Rodgers and we'll just bring in Devontae Adams to help Aaron Rodgers. And like at the end of the day, it's like, no, the coaching is still terrible. The decision-making at the top end is still terrible. None of the players are really bought in. They don't look like they won't even want to be there. It's like the defense is not as good as it's been advertised as a whole. It's just like we got to be like, okay, Sam Darnold looked terrible in that system, and now he's balling out.
Well, and
you get Zach Wilson out of there. Thank goodness, get him out, and you put in Rodgers, and now Rodgers looks terrible.
Well, and this is just in a very winnable game as well. I mean, the Jets take the lead with 3 minutes left. Aaron Rodgers didn't even play that bad. 17 for 28, 233 yards and 2 touchdowns. Breece Hall, 80 yards on 16 carries. Garrett Wilson, 113 yards on 5 catches. But to give up that late touchdown and the 2-point conversion with 30 seconds left against the Patriots of all people, who had their starting quarterback leave the game.
Yeah, they're playing with Jacoby Brissett. Jets, this was supposed to be your playoff year. Mm-hmm. What are you doing? You're losing to a 1-win Patriots team?
In the defense, a team that we have. I mean, the defense has just been imploded since they let go of their defensive head coach. I mean,
again, the organization is just it's in shambles.
We've talked about it. They've pulled all the shots now. They bring in Aaron Rodgers. That's been okay.
Yeah.
They fire their head coach. 5 or 6 games into the season? They trade for Devontae Adams after they fire their head coach. they're still not finding success. What more can they do? There's nothing to do right now.
And you can't just fire your head coach mid-season and be like, I think this is a year we win it all. No, that's what teams that are rebuilding do.
Right.
But then again, you're rebuilding with a 65-year-old quarterback and a 42-year-old receiver. What are we doing?
The only team in recent memory that I can remember that they fired their head coach and still end up making the playoffs was that Raiders team that fired John Gruden, and Rich Bisaccia took over. And that was really, they made the playoffs because they used the power of friendship with Max Crosby, Derek Carr, and all them. And they also had to win. They had to beat the Chargers to get into that playoff game, which that was when the Chargers had, what's his name, head coach, bad head coach. It was Brandon Staley.
Yeah.
So, but getting back to the Jets, I mean, there's nothing more they can do right now. They're much like the Cowboys right now, where there's nothing you can do to save your season. They're in an even worse hole right now, sitting at 2-6, and the division just going by them. I mean, even the Dolphins at this point, I have more faith in the Dolphins, who are also 2-6, to somehow find their step and maybe make a playoff push. But the Bills are 6-2. The rest of the teams in the AFC East have 6 wins combined.
Yeah, I mean, the Jets and the Patriots are battling for the bottom at this point.
Mm-hmm. It's just nothing has changed since then. I mean, they were like
but
that.
At least the Patriots have a quarterback for the future.
Exactly. And I think their head coach is actually not that bad. Personally.
No, Is it Gerard Mayo?
Yes.
I like what he's doing so far.
The defense has been playing fine so far, but
there's not a lot of like weapons that they have. They are clearly still rebuilding, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it seemed like when they had Belichick, it was like he was always in a win now mentality because he always had Brady, and he always could get good defensive players and offensive linemen, and it's like nowadays they're like, okay, let's just start from scratch. I mean, your best receiver is Hunter Henry, tight end.
It's not your guy Polk?
He's nowhere to be seen. Tough bounce for me. I thought I might make the call of the century. I was a hit on Malik Neighbors, not a hit on Jalen Polk. He's not doing well.
Did you know, actually, looking at the Patriots right now, there's no receiver that has more than 1 touchdown?
That would make sense.
Yep. But regardless, we'll move off the Patriots. They're getting some unwarranted shots right now. Except I was actually kind of praising them because their defense. But
and I think Drake May's good.
Yeah, like when they get more pieces on offense, their defense has been keeping them close in these games. If you have a couple more pieces on offense, you can at least be more competitive and keep up with other teams when your defense is actually playing pretty well.
Yeah, you can take advantage of the spots that your defense puts you in.
And, we love our transitions here. One team that is looking to make some improvements. This happened yesterday in a little midweek trade. We've kind of getting used to these. We had them with Devontae Adams and Amari Cooper. Now, Deontay Johnson making his way over to Baltimore.
Good for him.
Good pickup for the Ravens, and good for Deontay Johnson getting off the Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, bro, Panthers organization. When you talk about the Jets, I mean, Panthers are worse. I mean, they're not set up to have anybody find success. I don't know why Deontay even agreed to go there in the first place. I thought he'd be
money.
It was money. I thought he would be good because in the preseason he had solid connection with Bryce Young, but then they pull Bryce Young. I find out Bryce Young is like 4'2" and he can't see over the line. So I'm like, cool. Deontay Johnson's never getting the ball. I think he thought the same thing. He's like secretly in these meetings, like, can somebody please pick me up. Mom, I'm scared.
And you even talk about they even had Bryce Young come into this Broncos game, started the game, excuse me. They still lose 28-14. Just not a great look. Bryce Young probably did have his best game of the year so far, even though he had 2 interceptions. But
2 touchdowns though.
Yeah, no, more touchdowns than he had when he came into the game. So
that's true.
That is kind of crazy. I had to look at his stats. I didn't know that he had not thrown a touchdown yet this year in those 3 starts, or 2 starts, excuse me. So
yeah, he was pulled pretty quick, and for good reason because he wasn't playing well.
Talk about rookie quarterbacks lighting up, though. I mean, Bo Nix 3 touchdowns, dude. It's looking pretty good.
Good. I mean, all the rookies this year are looking like this.
Promising.
Might be the best rookie quarterback class we've seen in a very long time.
I would agree. Definitely better than last year's. Like all of them already are showing more. At least the first rounders, outside of Michael Penix, because he hasn't been able to play, but are showing more promise than last year's first rounders.
Yeah, I mean, making you eat your words with the. I think you said. I feel like I brought this up before that you said they were all going to be busts. Yeah. Here we are
I for sure
talking that. Yeah. I didn't think that. I thought Jaden Daniels wouldn't translate that well. I was wrong there. Although when he got drafted or before the draft, I wasn't too sold on him. And then during the preseason and during training camp, I was like, okay, this kid's going to be good, which is why I sniped him in every single fantasy league.
Yeah, did the switch up. But no, I thought everyone was going to be bust here. They're all looking pretty good. But more on Deontay Johnson. I mean, how much better does this make the Ravens team right now?
I mean, can they even get better? That's my thing. I mean,
this honestly just feels like the cherry on top of what they want their offense to be. And we watched it together. We watched a couple plays together. You put take Nelson Aguilar out and put Deontay Johnson in. I think that just automatically makes him a little bit better. No shade to Nelson Aguilar, but I'm just saying. I mean, just saying.
Yeah, I mean, you just have a lot of superstar receivers at this point. I mean, they're slowly turning into that 2020 Bucs team.
I almost want that like the offenses to go head to head between the Ravens and the Lions, because those are probably the top in each conference right now in terms of weapons. I mean, now the Ravens have Deontay Johnson, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, Derrick Henry. I mean, and we were just talking about the Lions and all their pieces. I mean, maybe it's going to be what we thought last year, maybe a Lions-Ravens Super Bowl, and it ends up just becoming a Chiefs-Niners Super Bowl again, which remember that? Everyone was picking Ravens-Lions to go to the Super Bowl.
And then Mahomes gets his 3rd Super Bowl win over a 49ers team.
That would be crazy.
3 of his 4.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah. No, but, I mean, don't let this Browns win fool you guys.
Yeah,
we're not good. The Ravens aren't good. I mean, it was in Cleveland. Obviously, Jameis Winston was chosen by God.
He's got the Linsanity start.
And the Browns defense is still good. I mean, we saw when Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, when he got injured, the Ravens were able to drive the ball pretty well. I mean, the Browns just have a really good defense, and the Ravens still put up 24 points on them. So.
And really, it still does come to that last play of the game. Last couple play of the games, which we've rewatched those, and it's like not really scheming up anything for Lamar, who has to throw the ball across his body on the last 2 plays of the game into the end zone. So.
Yeah, not really using Derrick Henry a lot either.
I was going to say, and they still have Derrick Henry. Like, I mean, that's one thing I wanted to note is that in that Ravens-Browns game, Derrick Henry only runs the ball 11 times, but runs it for, like, what was it, 60 or 70?
73 yards.
73 yards and a touchdown. So,
yeah. And you asked Lamar to throw it 40 times. And he plays pretty well. He
this is
furthers his MVP talks.
This is his best passing start so far.
Yeah, he had almost 350 all-purpose yards.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can't ask for a better performance from them. The only thing you can ask for is Kyle Hamilton to come down with that interception.
It's true. And, there's a couple misses there, like when Lamar's also trying to hit Rashad Bateman and the ball gets lost in the sun. But real quick, we can preview a couple games here if we want to quickly preview Thursday Night Football. We talked about earlier. We've got, Jets-Texans, correct, for tomorrow night's game?
This is a must-win for the Jets and the Texans.
Okay, well, if the Jets win, that would probably be the biggest surprise.
Well, that would show that they're moving in the right direction.
It is at MetLife too, so.
The Texans win, it's like, okay, this is our division now.
Yeah, they would get 7 wins. It would be very, very.
They're in the playoffs at that point.
Yeah, they're essentially in the playoffs, especially for them, who not even just in kind of a layup in a division for them, but they probably only have to win like 2 more games to just secure that spot.
Yeah.
So, the Jets, I'd be very shocked if they win. My bold prediction. Who do I want to say gets a touch? I want to say Breece Hall gets 2 touchdowns in this game. That's my bold prediction.
Okay. And the Texans still win?
Yep.
I think my prediction would be that Joe Mixon's the one who gets 2 touchdowns.
What would a bet on that be?
Both players to get 2.
What do you want to say? That's probably plus 800
each. What do you mean?
Let's see here.
Yeah, you talk about.
Did you see I did want to talk about this real quick. I know we never talk about baseball, but did you see last night the Yankee fan try and rip the ball out of Mookie Betts' hand? That is insane.
They did rip it out.
It did, well, damn near ripped his
arm
wrist off. Yeah,
that was kind of funny though. Mookie's like, "What are you guys doing?"
That fan got ejected too.
Yeah, as he should. Oh.
Plus 2,500 for both Joe Mixon and Breece Hall to score 2+ touchdowns.
Yeah. But if you have the Yankees winning the World Series, apparently, which I had in here before.
Oh, gosh.
Plus 18,000 total for all 3.
for all 3 of those things to happen.
Yeah.
That's insane. I did just put 10 cents on that, too.
Yeah, let me. $20. 25.
Who knows? Don't put $20 on that.
I can't bet in Minnesota.
That's true. That's a good thing. And then I will just put down a quick. Oh, Houston Texans or the Texans are underdogs in this?
It's at MetLife.
I don't care. Give me that money line. That's a quick double my money right there. Anyway, the other game, yes, they're going to win. The other game I wanted to talk about real quick. Let's just hit on the Cyclones real quick. Looking to improve to would it be 7-0 right now? 8-0. 8-0 with Texas Tech coming into town. Your thoughts?
My thoughts are the Cyclones are going to win the Natty this year.
I think Iowa State probably takes this one by. Though they've still shown that they're going to keep some games close, so I'd be surprised if this game is decided by more than 10 points.
I think.
Let's just hope it doesn't come down to another miracle drive by Rocco Becht.
Yeah. Well, Mouser was talking about. He's like, don't let their last place pass defense fool you. Like, we still have to play well. I'm like, okay, Rocco's going to eat this game. Like, he had his bad game for the year. That was last game.
A bad game where he still leads probably one of the best drives this year.
Yeah, but outside of that, he was looking rough.
Yeah.
So, he's worked out his kinks, and now I think, he's been better in the second half of the season. just based off like the one season we had to watch. But like,
and I mean, I hate to critique it too much, but it is like if you look back at that UCF game, if Rocco Beck doesn't lead that drive, the game would. I mean, and they lose, the game would be his fault because he spotted UCF 14 points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2 pick sixes. I mean, the second one, I was like, okay, Rocco, like you're just.
I mean, that's not entirely on him because it gets bounced and everything, but it is just like it's tight window, whatnot. But
he'll have those. I think last year I was trying to look up the stat because I was assuming he was leading the nation in pick sixes thrown because he threw like 3 in the first 5 weeks.
Yeah, I remember you were trying to look at that, and apparently the NCAA doesn't want to keep track of bad play, but he was pretty close there. But the stat that I loved, and that actually one of my favorite podcasts, two Chris's brought up, Chris Hassel brought up a stat that Rocco Becht, as a Cyclone, has thrown 13 interceptions on 6 of the following drives after those interceptions. So the drive that he gets right after an interception, he's led 6 touchdown drives.
Love that.
Yeah. So talk about short memory.
But you need to win a natty.
More so on Texas Tech. I mean, 8-0 would just be crazy. It is sad to think though that we really do need to. I'm not one of those people where I want the Big 12 to get like as many schools as possible in. I could care less. They will probably only get 1, maybe 2 in, but at this rate now, we need to start rooting against BYU and K-State because there's a lot of people are talking about this. There's a chance that Iowa State goes undefeated, loses in the Big 12 championship, and only has 1 loss on their season and misses the college football playoffs.
Really?
I mean, well, I think that is what would happen if it's like, let's say we lose to BYU or Kansas State.
Yeah. I would think that, I mean, only 2 of those teams that we're talking about are making it, but I do think 2 will make it.
Yes. And that, like, a lot of people have also been saying that if Kansas State continues to win, and there's a good chance that the Farmageddon in Ames on the last game of the regular season is against 2 11-0 teams with the spot in the Big 12 championship on the line. So
against Kansas State?
What? No, I'm saying there's a good chance that Kansas State and Iowa State are both 11-0 coming into that last regular season game, and whoever wins goes to the Big 12 championship.
Kansas State already has a loss, though.
Okay, never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, I had to look it up. You're throwing me off there.
Okay, well, then there's still that chance that Iowa State needs to win that game to get into the Big 12 championship to play BYU.
Yeah. Although I don't see BYU finishing the year undefeated. I mean, I think
they probably have a tougher schedule than Iowa State down the stretch, correct? Because Iowa State really.
No, not really. They play Utah on the road. But besides that, they play Kansas at home, Arizona State on the road, and Houston at home. So
Arizona State on the road is probably their toughest one there, although they're out their quarterback, I'm pretty sure.
So is Utah.
Yes. So, Iowa State going to Utah is – I mean, the hardest game on their schedule for Iowa State now is Kansas State. The rest of the way, now that Utah is out Cam Rising – that game against Iowa State, even though Iowa State has to go to Utah to play that, they'll still probably be favored. That's the only other game I was worried about down the stretch. People are saying, Cincinnati and Kansas could be trap games. No. That's not. No. No, they're going to beat Kansas at Arrowhead Stadium and Cincinnati at home. I mean, we saw firsthand what Cincinnati looked like last year. Now they have a different quarterback now, and they look better with him. But I mean, that was when we played at Cincinnati, and that atmosphere was terrible. I'm just being straight up.
Yeah, there was like 15% of the seats were filled.
That was with Rocco Becht and Iowa State coming off probably the worst game in the Rocco Becht era when they lost to Ohio. No, wait, sorry. They played Oklahoma State and then went to Cincinnati, but still.
Yeah. And also, bro, that press box.
That was so nice.
Press box was fine, actually. It was the stadium as a whole trying to get to the press conference.
Yes. Oh, I thought you
were. It was in a classroom.
Yes. I thought you were going to rip on the people that kept telling you to wear your credentials when you went up to get food.
Oh, yeah, because there was like the credentials, like a tiny little string you had on your wrist as opposed to like
an actual
you wear it around your neck.
Yeah.
And yeah, I kept just holding it and I kept leaving it places. I'm like, dude, if you ask me to bring my credential up one more time, I'm like, I'm supposed to be like, please. I just want to go get some more mashed potatoes or whatever.
Facts. I do miss those. I do miss those pregame meals.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice.
I hate on Iowa all the time, but gotta say, they got some good fixins over there.
Yeah, what'd you get there again when you went and covered the 2022
I probably ate like 3 pounds
game?
of mashed potatoes. Yeah, that's all I remember.
And Iowa State winning on Hunter Decker's 99-yard touchdown drive.
Yeah, and I almost missed the end of that game because we were trying to get to the press conference early. And then we had to sprint across the field again. A lot of these away press conferences, some of these schools just need to like help a brother out. Like they had it across, you had to go all the way down the stairs onto the field, cut all the way across to the other side to find it. So we were sprinted through the pouring rain.
It does feel like some of these, now that I'm thinking back on the other press conferences that we've been to at away stadiums or even neutral sites, they do kind of make it like in the middle of I'll even say it. Iowa State's could be kind of tricky to get into sometimes. Well, actually, I don't know about that because it's just one way. I mean, we know you take the elevator down, you walk all the way over to the other building. You know exactly where it's at. This one, they don't really. I mean, like, even if you remember when we went to K-State, that's on the other side of the stadium from where the press box was and downstairs into like the locker room, pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
And then when we went to the Liberty Bowl, that was in the middle of nowhere, too.
I don't remember.
We had to go down. It was the Liberty Bowl, that media room was down by like the exit pretty much, where like fans were exiting the game.
Oh, yeah. And you had to like walk into a little box or whatever to get to it.
Yeah, it was weird. Just a little insight on our lives, guys. It's watching sports and reporting on it. It's so hard. Hard.
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
But that's after. But Iowa State beating Texas Tech this weekend, homecoming weekend. Wish I could be there. Gonna have some family in there. Wish I could see them all, but it's okay. Your prediction?
I think Iowa State wins. I mean, it's at Jack Trice, so I don't really see this being a trap game at all. I mean, Texas Tech has looked not great recently, so
yeah, they lost their quarterback. It'll be a little bit different for them. I want to say they just lost to someone else too. That I was kind of they just lost TCU. So
and who out by Baylor.
And TCU almost lost to Houston, right?
Oof. I don't know. You're going all around the board here. TCU did lose to Houston.
They did lose to Houston, so there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that'll do us here on Trench Talk this week. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. We'll see you guys next week to recap some Week 9 NFL action.